Keir is definitely only 5'8", same as Boris was, but he hasn't got quite such a small personality. And then Keir's got this massive head, which you feel that you could take the top off and lots of rishis would climb out of it, which would be a very Greek. We've got a Greek thing, the Medusa. Yeah.
His head is a bit like he's already on Mount Rushmore, isn't it, Keir? There's a sort of slightly stone quality about that.
Mr. Whippy hair.
Mr. Speaker, never mind the British Museum. It's the Prime Minister who's obviously lost his marbles. Mr. Speaker, the Greek Prime Minister came to London to meet him, a fellow NATO member, an economic ally, one of our most important partners in tackling illegal immigration. But instead of using that meeting to discuss those serious issues, he tried to humiliate him and cancelled at the last minute. Why such small politics, Prime Minister?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, of course, we're always happy to discuss important topics of substance with our allies, like tackling illegal migration or indeed strengthening our security. But when it was clear that the purpose of a meeting was not to discuss substantive issues for the future, but rather to grandstand and relitigate issues of the past, it wasn't appropriate. But furthermore, when specific commitments and specific assurances on that topic were made to this country and then were broken, it may seem alien to him, but my view is when people make commitments, they should keep them.
He sort of doubled down on his insult to the Greek Prime Minister, didn't he?
Yeah.
That was surprising.
Should we do... Sorry, I've just... my bell's just been delivered.
Oh, you've needed your bell.
But let's start off, first of all, with the marbles joke. Was that was a better...
It was bad, it was almost good.
Yeah, there we are.
But it was a very dad joke delivery, wasn't it?
But maybe that's better. Maybe if it's too complicated, he mucks it up.
Yeah,
Just
I mean, it got sort of
straightforward
jeering cheers, didn't it? There was some Labour people sort of semi-enjoying it and some Tories calling for more because it was poor. But, it was fine. It's better than mucking up a good joke at the start.
It does also, but it doesn't sound like the sort of thing that Keir would ever say. He's not a punmeister, is he? That's not what he would do with his conversation. I'm wondering if we were going to get all Greek to me, one of those ones. Or
we'll see. We'll write these down.
Do we get that?
What else do I have?
Some plate smashing, some calamari.
Plate smashing. Yeah. What else do the Greeks do?
Not a lot. I think that's why Rishi didn't bother to meet him.
I wonder if Rishi will respond with how dealing with immigration is it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Very good. Marathon, not a sprint. Now, we've talked of the past couple of weeks. I think the thing that prompted you to get in touch, Giles, was a couple of weeks ago we were saying how bad Keir Starmer's actual questions were. And his question there was, why such small politics?
Yeah. I mean, I think
that's not a question.
It's not much of a question, but I do think it plants the seed that this is a tiny little man that he's up against, and that kind of, I think sort of subtly suggesting that Sunak's a bit of a weed, and a bit of a weakling, and a bit sort of, he can do that politically by saying, oh, the bloke couldn't even take a meeting with this fellow because he was frightened of being asked about some marbles. But on the other, one of the questions people ask me most when I'm sort of out there addressing different groups or whatever is, is he as small as he looks? Is he short? And I say, he's not short, he's just tiny. Everything's like shrunk. He's a very, very small human being, Rishi Sunak. And I think there's a slight sort of sense that people like their leaders to be 6'2" and have a bit of a jawline. And insofar as that matters, talking about small politics, I think, gets you there.
Speaking as a close personal friend of Keir, Keir is actually also small. And I, as a person of 5'9", I am there to police the barrier. I'm the person that you need to stand next to people, because if you're shorter than me, you're shorter than average. And if you're taller than me, you're taller than average. And Keir is definitely only 5'8", same as Boris was, but he hasn't got quite such a small personality. And then Keir's got this massive head, which you feel that you could take the top off and lots of rishis would climb out of it, which would be a very Greek... we've got a Greek thing, the Medusa.
His head is a bit like he's already on Mount Rushmore, isn't it, Keir? There's a sort of slightly stone quality about that.
Mr. Whippy hair.
I tell you what I noticed, by the way, when it came to the immigration thing, that this is a bit of a political point for me to make, as if I were a genuine observer. He lacks Suella Braverman. When they bring up immigration, Suella Braverman... I can't remember whether you can say bat poo. You can say bat...
Yes, you can. Banny Ofcom is fine.
Whatever comes out of a bat. Braverman needs to have said something completely bat-poo during the week for him to roll back on. If he hasn't got, she needs to have said, it's going to be zero. It's going to be zero, and it's going to be negative. We're going to start sending them home on Wednesday. And then anything that he says to track back looks like he's in control, doesn't it? He hasn't got that now.
And also, he hasn't got her sitting on the front bench nodding, which he used to do very enthusiastically, regardless of what's being said.